questions and then put it together so that before people went to student teach, they'd be able to see this and learn from people. So I would ask, what's the best thing that you found? What's the worst thing? What's the hardest part about being student teaching? What's the easiest part? What don't people know? So I went out and I taped or videoed, I don't know, maybe 60 or 70 different separate videos and maybe 25 people. And so I put it together in a CD, and I gave it out for about 4 years before I went on sabbatical. I haven't done it since. But I wanted to show you a couple of the videos that I thought were pretty good on this. And they will give you an idea of some of the things you should be thinking about this year before you start student teaching next year. So when you hear what they have to say, consider it as an indication of what you can do for the rest of the time you're here before you start student teaching. You know, if I showed this to you the day before, that means that you wouldn't have any time before student teaching to actually work on that in your classes. Does that make sense? So if you hear it now, you may forget it or may not. Okay, so the first one, let me take out my glasses here. This is, I asked one of the teachers, what kind of trouble do you see? Okay. So I was asking her what kind of trouble and lesson planning. So this is what she said.
I find that when they come in, they're used to doing a single lesson plan for a single topic. And they have eons of pages, procedure and organization and materials, and follow-up evaluation. And they do that for a while as they start slowly. But as they go on, they need to then plan for the whole day and the whole week. And they sometimes find it difficult to work with time considerations because they're so used to focusing on one small part. So it takes time for them to then develop ways of working with a week, ways of working with a whole day of lesson planning. So that's a transition for them.
Now, I don't know if we give you practice in doing that, working for the whole day, whole week, stuff like that. Okay, if we don't do it, then you're going to have to do it for yourself. See, so try and get in the habit of developing for a full day, for a week, and ask the teachers that you are with how they do it. See, because now you have a year or at least 2 semesters to kind of ask the teachers, okay, I need to learn how to plan for a week, for a year. How do you do it? Do you write the whole plan out and then kind of fill it out? Or do you go week by week? You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? I mean, it's just something to consider. Because if we're not teaching you that, and we may not teach you that, so at least you understand now this is something you should work on for yourself. So I asked another teacher what she thought and what problems the student teachers have.
Don't plan too many outside activities, because I think that being a teacher, I'm a third-year teacher, but when I see people who have student teachers, I think that one of the I don't want to say complaints, but the biggest problems is that they don't spend enough time doing things, and they're not as prepared as they need to be, because you have to remember that some of these cooperating teachers have been teaching for years, and they've been teaching the same subjects for years, so they're very knowledgeable about things, and you going in as a student teacher may not know so much about a theme or subject, and you need to do your background research so that, you know, when the kids ask you questions, you don't have to look over to the teacher and say, do you have an answer for that, kind of thing.
They hate that. So whatever it is, that's why I say that if you have a weak subject, this is the time to really get better at the weak subject, whatever it is. Because you're not going to have any other chance when you start student teaching. You can't be just the night before. I mean, it'll show sooner or later that it'll stretch too thin. So you want to make sure that anything that you're not good at now, learn enough to learn how to stay at least a week or 2 weeks ahead of the kids and know what's going on. If there's something you don't understand in math, find out now. You know, if you're not really good with fractions, then spend some extra time on that. Okay. What do you think so far? I mean, is this useful or not useful?
I think it's helpful.
Strange? All right, here's one. So I said, what best advice can you give? Here's somebody with best advice. This is she just finished her student teaching, like the day I taped this. So she was right hot off the press here.
Go in there as prepared as you can. Know your subject matter in and out. try and plan some lessons ahead. Like if you can get the book from the teacher ahead of time, find out what chapters you're going to be doing, read the book ahead so that that kind of thing is done ahead of time and you're not dealing with it when you're student teaching. Because there's so much to deal with when you're actually going through student teaching that any little bit that you could have done ahead of time will be a great help to you.
I'm sure you've heard that a lot. Here's another one. Oh. I forgot her name.
They need to spend almost 100% of their time to put in as much as they can to student teaching. It is not easy. It is not a 9 to 3 job. It is taking work home. It is preparing tons of materials. It is evaluating as you go along, evaluating at the end of the day, evaluating at the end of the week, reconfiguring reading groups. So I think, number one, don't plan a lot of outside activities and get your rest before you actually start student teaching. You'll be very tired, and that's very normal. Being a veteran teacher, it still happens. And you still get butterflies on the day before school starts, and you still get butterflies, and that's okay.
Not you guys, other people. You're not going to get butterflies. Right? Then I asked, you guys know Dr. Turner, Jesse Turner? Do you have any classes with him? They consider him a really good teacher here. And he's a nice guy. I haven't seen him teach, so I don't know. But I know that he's considered really good. So I said one day to him, I think maybe we're having lunch or something, I said, what makes a great teacher? Because if they say he's a great teacher, so what makes a great teacher? So what would you say? What would you guys say makes a great teacher, just out of your curiosity? Flexibility. Okay, can I write that down? If this will work. So flexibility. Oh, that's good. Does flexibility have an A or an I? Interesting, that's coming. What else? In your opinion, one word or description, what?
Caring.
Caring, okay, good teacher cares. Anything else? Just, yeah.
Compassion.
Compassion. Yeah, these are, I would say this to Jesse, I'd say, yeah, good. He said, well, this is how he looks at it. So, a little bit differently than I do, but I like his answer. So.
And when I think about great teachers, I think those are the teachers that make a difference by not waiting for others to do for them. So I use the analogy of the half glass. Is it half full or is it half empty? Now, in the traditional ways of thinking about that, people say half empty. They understand that half full and they think this is great. But really, half empty just means you're a poor teacher, a lousy teacher. And half full just means you're the kind of teacher that will just work with what you get. You do the best you'll have with what you have. But a great teacher fills their own glass, one drop at a time. So when they're taking classes at Central, they're saying, how can this class help make me a better teacher, regardless of what the class is? How can asking another teacher about what they do help make me a better teacher? What can I learn from every single student in my class that will make me a better teacher, so that every moment is a moment where we can fill our own glasses? That's what makes a great teacher.
And I like that. If you consider that as something to strive for, I don't know, you may not, but I think it's good advice for people who are still in school and have a chance to make a difference in what they do. So you got a year to go, and you can, as Jesse would say, fill those glasses. Not these glasses, those glasses. Question or comment? I need at least two. What do you think? Yeah.
I don't know how related this is, but I read a lot that a lot of teachers quit within the first 5 years of teaching.
Yes.
So what would you suggest so that doesn't happen to us?
Well, a lot depends on where you are placed, where you find a job. But the thing is, you got to find the right place. But I don't know. I think each individual case is different, but it's very difficult. First year is survival. It's just being able to survive. I mean, not even worrying about doing a good job. You want to do a good job, but the first year is It is so difficult. I mean, you are a rookie. Everybody tells you stuff. Everybody is looking over your shoulder. And as you go through, every few years, it gets a little bit better and better. But a lot depends on where you are. If you can't take an urban environment, a lot of urban teachers quit because it may be difficult for them, or they may be married and move somewhere else. My advice is to find the best place possible if you can. And I always ask people, I don't know if I told you guys, but if you're willing to move, look for other places to go. Alaska's great. I've helped people go up to Alaska. The Department of Defense, you heard of them, right? The U.S. Department of Defense. They have schools almost in every country where Americans are stationed. So they have job fairs where people who have got their teaching licenses can, apply for jobs to teach in Spain or wherever Americans are stationed. Pakistan, no, you don't go to Pakistan. Places like that. I don't know if that answers your question. It's a hard one. You should ask all your teachers the same thing. Have you?
No.
Ask every single teacher that's teaching you here at the school and find out what their prescription is. I think. One other question or comment? Yeah.
It doesn't relate to this also, but
Okay.
Today I was at Naylor CCSU Academy. They used an Elmo.
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard of that. Have you heard of that? It's a technology thing.
It's a 3D?
I don't know. It's like the new projector, but
Yeah,
it's
3D
like
projector.
Right? It's very
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, it's from what I understand, it's not perfected yet. That it's still. Naylor is one of the schools that I used to go to, and I actually made a field trip with them. We did a field trip to Stanley Pond. Maybe I'll bring that in next week to show you guys. But it was nice because we used technology to record the field trip, and I'll see if I can find that. I had forgotten about that. Naylor's a good school. If you've been to Naylor, they're about the top of the line. So if you want to go to the top of the line, that's them. I don't know what the bottom of the line is, but there's got to be something nearby that's probably not as good. Good. Okay, so I will stop.